Chuck Thompson. In my career as a Colts announcer, I thought I'd seen just about everything. But believe me, Baltimore's 1965 season was a completely unique experience. After 10 weeks and with a 9-1 record, the Colts appeared headed toward that Western Conference championship. Then it happened. First John Unitas, then Gary Quazzo, both injured, sidelined, out for the season. Never in the history of the NFL had a team lost its two top quarterbacks. Never had a team been forced to rely on a halfback as its regular signal caller. And rarely had so much responsibility for winning been placed on a defensive unit. Colt fans everywhere were disappointed that the championship had eluded them. But I'm sure all will agree that the Colts' 1965 season was truly a year to remember. It was one for the book. After 14 fierce weeks of football, the Baltimore Colts and the Green Bay Packers collide in a playoff for the Western Conference Championship. On the game's first scrimmage play, a fiery Baltimore defense shocks the sellout crowd at Lambeau Field. Lenny Lyles jolts Bill Anderson, and Don Shinnick reaps the reward. Dennis Gobbets and Jim Welsh clear the path. Shinnick scores, and the Colts have stung the Packers to take an early 7-0 lead. Later, Tom Matty, Baltimore's halfback turned quarterback, gives Green Bay more grief with a screen pass to Lenny Moore. Bob Vogel's block helps Moore to a 10-yard gain. Strong blocks by Mackey and Parker clear the left side for Jerry Hill, who gains 10 more yards. Matty, a collegiate rollout artist at Ohio State, is stopped by the pack, and the Baltimore attack is stalled, temporarily. So Lou Michaels gives the Colts a push with 3 more points, and the underdog Baltimore Colts hold a startling 10-0 advantage. The Packers threaten late in the half. Bratkowski, replacing the injured Bart Starr, hits Anderson on a pass ruled complete by inches. The situation will be 2nd and goal on the 1-foot line. Green Bay's big backs are in their element, but so is Dennis Gobbets, who piles up Horning. A defense with a history of grudging yards prolongs the seeming inevitable. The Colts hope against hope as every ounce of thoroughbred instinct rises. The proud professionals, led by Gobbets again, herd Horning into the traffic and away from the end zone. The situation is now 4th and goal. A slashing tackle by Lou Michaels and Dennis Gobbets stops Jim Taylor cold. Taylor recovers his own fumble, but this Spartan goal line stand was a high point of the season for the brilliant Baltimore defense. Leading 10-7 in the third quarter, Baltimore blitzes Bratkowski. Zeke's hurried pass is intercepted by All-Pro Bobby Boyd as the defense continues to repel the Packers. The Colts carry their lead into the final quarter with the defense meeting another challenge. Jerry Logan streaks in to filch this Green Bay pass. The pack has been turned back again. Late in the game, Green Bay drives once more. Bratkowski connects with Horning, but Gobbets and Stonebreaker limit the gain to short yardage. Billy Ray Smith fires in from his tackle position to drop Bratkowski with a determined swipe of the arm. But a penalty is called on the play, which gives Green Bay fresh hope, with time the important factor. With less than 2 minutes remaining, Chandler will attempt a field goal. The veteran kicker suffers 1,000 agonies while awaiting the verdict. The attempt is ruled good. The score is tied. 60 minutes of fierce combat and a season must be resolved in sudden death. For 8 minutes, the overtime is a standoff, but finally the latent power of the Packer attack begins to assert itself. Bratkowski passes 18 yards to Carroll Dale, who is bounced out of bounds by Bobby Boyd on the Baltimore 26. The Colts played gallantly on a day in which they had a crippled air arm, but an inspired defense. Chandler's field goal delivers the sudden death obituary. By a slim 3 points, Green Bay, and not Baltimore, is the Western Conference champion. For Baltimore, the season began at Memorial Stadium on a sweltering September day against the Vikings. All-pro quarterback Johnny Unitas is a passer with a full complement of receivers. On this play, Raymond Berry, the Colts' leading receiver, gains 14 yards. Timing and precision keynote the Colt attack. Jimmy Orr, the man who gained the most yardage as a receiver, picks up 8. Baltimore's airborne offensive is overpowering. Fullback Tony Larick is another receiver that Unitas can utilize. The passing parade continues with tight end John Mackey taking this toss to the Minnesota 1. This varied air assault sets the stage for Lenny Moore's touchdown dive. The Colt attack is total offense. The defense is not to be outdone. Fine performances such as this scoring interception by Jerry Logan helps turn the tide to the Baltimore side. The runners, when called upon, are brutally efficient. Jerry Hill completes the destruction of the Vikings as the Colts rout 31-16. The most devastating offensive ensemble in football has been set loose, and the man at the heart of the machine is number 19, Johnny U. Unitas has the heart of the complete player. Detroit's Dick LeBeau has 99 yards of clear field in front of him except for John Unitas. Disdaining danger, Unitas demonstrates another aspect of his versatility as he scores against Los Angeles. A pass completion to many quarterbacks is reward enough. But this is not true of Johnny U. Unitas courses downfield and repays Redskin Sam Huff for some of his previous attentions. John's block helps Butch Wilson to a long gain. The pass is Baltimore's big weapon, and playing one-on-one against Raymond Berry can be a nightmare. Jerry Mertens finds this nightmare a reality. Against the Packers, Raymond's moves are musical as he glides, slides, and drives for position. Every time he catches a pass, Berry breaks an NFL record. Pattern, execution, and sure hands. This is Raymond Berry. There isn't a receiver anywhere who can compare with Berry on his down-and-out specialty. Against the Rams, Berry demonstrates his agility to gain a first down. Football is a game of tactics, and Berry is a premier tactical weapon. Jimmy Orr, a diminutive 175-pounder, is the Colts' most consistent deep threat. In 1965, his pass receptions accounted for 847 yards and 10 TDs. The evasive flanker picks up 22 hard yards against Los Angeles. Jimmy plays with a reckless enthusiasm. Orr's all-out effort against the Eagles' Al Nelson suspends his services temporarily. The shaken-up Orr will be taken to the hospital for x-rays, then back to the locker room for a session on the taping table. The fears of Baltimore fans will be allayed only by his reappearance. In perhaps the most dramatic situation of the season, Jimmy does come back and avenges himself immediately. The Eagles' Al Nelson won a round, but lost the fight to Jimmy Orr. In the Rams scouting report, they overlooked Orrsville, that corner of Memorial Stadium which Jimmy seems to own. Orr underlines the lesson with another TD reception. The large man in the Baltimore receiving corps is John Mackey. A quick look-in pass triggers a free-wheeling dash through the Chicago secondary. Mackey caroms off a bunch of Bears to complete a brilliant touchdown. Washington's all-pro safety Paul Krause commits a judgment error when he goes for the interception against Mackey. The error cost Washington a touchdown. But it's always the man behind the ball that allows the John Mackeys to ply their trade. Against the Bears, the Unitas to Mackey combination unwinds. But fine defense foils the play. It was on this same pass that Unitas was injured and sidelined for the season. Healthy knees are as necessary as strong arms. The Colts will have to go with their number 2 man, Gary Quazzo, renowned as the best understudy in the league. Here's why. Quazzo comes right back with a pass against these same Bears. Mackey is the receiver, and it's a big gain for Baltimore. Let's compare the two Colt quarterbacks. Quazzo on the left was signed as a free agent from Virginia and quickly gave himself to the task of studying the master. His timing, step for step, has become a perfect parallel, as are his results. The tools of the Colt trade are loaded on a United Jet mainliner for the trip to Minnesota. Raymond Berry, number 82. And Jimmy Orr, number 28, will be ready. Gary Quazzo is the big change. John Unitas is hobbled. He'll go, but only as an advisor. Incidentally, 13 out of 14 NFL teams fly United, the airline of champions. When the Colts arrive in the Twin Cities, they'll be ready. At Minnesota, Quazzo serves immediate notice of things to come. Behind the blocks of George Prees and Dick Szymanski, he has time to find Jimmy Orr for 6 points. Vogel, Parker, Sandusky, and Prees throw up the wall. Szymanski and Lorick provide added protection. Quazzo again finds Orr for another 6 points. Tight end John Mackey joins the blockers this time. A perfect pocket is the result. And Lenny Moore scores. Rolling out, Gary finds Raymond Berry for his 4th TD strike in the late afternoon. In this game, Gary was named NFL Offensive Player of the Week. His 5th touchdown pass, a club record, is caught by Willie Richardson. Gary Quazzo has proved a brilliant understudy, and at this point, the home stretch appears bright as Baltimore overwhelms Minnesota 41-21. The renewed optimism is short-lived in the Colts' corral. Packers' Lionel Aldridge and Willie Davis send Quazzo crashing to the ground. His shoulder is separated. For the 2nd straight week, the Colts have lost their quarterback. Paul Hornung compounds the Colts' problems with one of the 5 touchdowns he scored in this vital Green Bay victory. There were other times and other places in which the performances of the opposition stymied the Colts. The scrambling antics of Minnesota's Fran Tarkenton are enough to disrupt any defense. Washington's Sonny Jurgensen, one of the premier quarterbacks in the East, finding his receivers covered and his person in danger, decides in desperation to run for it. The defense, seemingly taken up with the curiousness of the situation, watches Sonny belly up to the goal line for 6 points. A more convincing performance, and in fact one of the best of the year, was turned in by Dave Parks of San Francisco. The league's leading receiver recorded 3 TDs in Baltimore, and this was his most spectacular. Rookie of the Year, Chicago's Gale Sayers set an NFL record by scoring 22 touchdowns. This 61-yard scamper helped put the damper on the Colts at Memorial Stadium. Herb Adderley of the Packers, another all-pro performer, narrowly picks off this Unitas aerial and returns it 52 touchdown yards. This play was a key one in Green Bay's first win over the Colts. With 3 games left in the season, Don Shula faces the greatest challenge of his coaching career. Shula knows that with Unitas and Quazzo throwing, the Colts can succeed. Without them, this passing game must be expected to suffer. A concentration on fundamentals, blocking, tackling, and hard running will be the key to future victories. Lenny Moore is part of the answer. Alex Sandusky is another part. This is the kind of combination the Colts must rely on now. Here, Moore and Sandusky pool their talents to gain 17 yards against the Packers. Wayne Walker finds Bob Vogel, number 72, a hard man to get by. Jerry Hill turns the corner for 8. On this play, Vogel drops Jim Marshall of the Vikings. The churning legs are those of Tony Lorick on his way to first down yardage. 275-pound Jim Parker, number 77, rolls over Lamar Lundy, and the heir apparent quarterback, Tom Matte, gains 6. Parker again helps provide the entree. He combines with Buzz Nutter to forge an opening against the Redskins. Tony Lorick charges through the gap for the score. The Colts also play fierce defensive football. Billy Ray Smith patrols the middle ground while Ordell Bracy drops in on Milt Plum. Against the Redskins, Bracy and Smith collaborate again. Bracy deflects Jurgensen's pass, and Smith pulls it out of the air. With the aid of some National Beer movie magic, we'll see the interception again. They call Smith the Rabbit, but he plays like a tiger. The circle surrounds number 75, Guy Reese. He leads the charge as the Bears' Rudy Vukic loses both his balance and the ball. Follow number 76, Fred Miller. He surges into the Lion backfield to bury Milt Plum. The left end position is nailed down by number 79, Lou Michaels, as is the Bears' John Arnett. Steve Stonebreaker is an all-pro linebacker. Stripping the interference is part of his job. Stonebreaker cuts down the blockers, and the Baltimore pursuit makes Gale Sayers pay heavily for this trip. The arrows pinpoint linebackers Stonebreaker and Shinnick. From the flank, Steve and Don pincer in to drop Milt Plum. The defense thrives on hitting. Wendell Harris knifes into the Ram backfield with a ferocity that springs the ball. And Don Shinnick is there to recover. The Baltimore secondary is extremely mobile. Milt Plum sends Amos Marsh on a deep pattern and immediately follows him with the ball. Bobby Boyd and Harris have also gone deep with a big sprinter. Harris joins the ballet to take the pass. Boyd screens Marsh, and a beautiful return is underway. Meanwhile, the defense reverses its role and delivers some devastating blocks. Follow number 20, Jerry Logan, whose timing is perfect. Rudy Bukich is the victim of Logan's safety blitz. A Green Bay sweep is stymied by right halfback Lenny Lyles. Jimmy Welsh lends a hand, and Jim Taylor has nowhere to go. At a crucial junction in the Philadelphia game, Bobby Boyd displays his all-pro credentials to Eagle receiver Ray Pogue. Legal larceny. As a sophomore, Alvin Heyman began to feel at home. The vaunted Redskin combination of Jurgensen to Mitchell will have a new respect for the young Colt defender. Touchdown, Baltimore. Alvin first served notice of things to come as a member of the Colts specialty teams. "55 yards of his total 403 on punt returns are logged on this run back against the Vikings. With Tom Matty making his first start at quarterback, the Colts move into the Coliseum. It's a must game for Baltimore, and the defense is sky high, stopping the Rams cold in the opening period. The punt will be taken by Alvin Heyman, who twists and turns up to the 50. Jerry Hill, behind inspired blocking, picks up 5. The mammoth Ram line tightens. But field position is won, and place kicker Lou Michaels is now the Colts' deep scoring threat. From 50 yards out, he hits. 3 points, and Baltimore leads. The defense shoulders the burden once again. Bobby Boyd outpositions Tommy McDonald for the ball. At his best in the big games, Lenny Moore maneuvers 29 yards for a touchdown. The Colts, heretofore a passing team, have scored on the ground against one of the strongest defensive lines in football. The Colt pursuit is vicious. Dick Bass is accosted first by Michaels, with Boyd, Miller, Smith, and others joining the melee. Tommy McDonald is another story. He finally finds a crease of daylight, and with this tally, the score stands 17-10 with the Rams in front. Quarterback Ed Brown, picked up from the Steelers at the last moment, connects with John Mackey. "68 yards and a TD. And Brown had only one day to familiarize himself with the Baltimore offense. But his big touchdown pass ties the game. It's the Colts 17, the Rams 17. Late in the fourth quarter, Baltimore has the ball again. Tom Matte, emerging as a new Colt hero, reels off 23 yards from his unfamiliar quarterback position. Matte has moved the Colts into field goal range, and Baltimore's leading scorer, Michaels, delivers a tie-breaking field goal. It's 20-17 Baltimore. In the closing minutes, a Ram bid is abruptly stopped by Boyd's 9th interception of the season, tops in the NFL. The underdog Colts have pulled an astounding upset to tie Green Bay for first place in the West. The palm trees and sunny skies of Miami's beautiful Orange Bowl helped dispel some of the memory of that frozen afternoon in Green Bay where the Colts had to settle for second best. The playoff bowl will see the Colts take on the Eastern Conference representatives, the Dallas Cowboys. The Colts start the afternoon with a new assurance. Matte has made a phenomenal adjustment. He goes to the air immediately. Berry takes the pass for good yardage. Baltimore has regained much of its old versatility. The Colts are professionals, and they've come to play. Matte hits Mackey for another long gainer. Lenny Moore complements the aerial circus. Behind good blocks, he scores to give Baltimore the lead. Jerry Hill's number comes up, and he parlays Matte's pass into more big yardage. Matte escorts Hill in for the score. It's Colts 21, Dallas 3. The Cowboy offense is hobbled. Olympian Bob Hayes, whose pass receptions in 1965 totaled more than 1,000 yards, comes untracked at the hands of Bobby Boyd. A Colt rookie, Roy Hilton, number 85, runs over the interference to dump Don Meredith for a 6-yard loss. On the sideline, number 28, Jimmy Orr, a man whose skills have remained untapped today, conspires with quarterback Tom Matte. On the field, Matte and Orr effect something more than a verbal exchange. This time, it's with a football, and it's worth 6 points. The Colts are on the move again. With the precision characteristic of a veteran passer, Matte pinpoints Raymond Berry. Jerry Hill rudely jars the Big D defense for 36 stampeding yards. Rookie Mike Curtis comes in to display his talents, and so he does for 11 yards. Tom Matte, voted the game's outstanding player, goes to Orr again to cap the afternoon with another touchdown bomb. The Colts ride herd on the Cowboys by the startling score of 35-3. The Colts didn't win the championship, but they did win the admiration of fans across the country. This was a team which refused to quit, which overcame adversity with inspired football, a team of dedicated pros, which made the Colts' 1965 season a year to remember. It was one for the book. One for the book has been presented by National Beer and Colt 45 Malt Liquor.